All right, here we have a Dorinthia. Into Dorinthia, I like to go second. You can definitely get punished by doing this. For sideboard, I keep Kakara just in case they're hatchets, and then board out some 3 blocks for some sinks. And yeah, that's pretty much the board. It turns out they're Great Axe, which again, the sink belows are not going to be incredibly useful into Axe Dori. But I think I do that just to hedge because 95% of the time they're Dawn Blade. So here we just want to set up our graveyard as best as possible. Probably is going to involve pitching these two to this. They are on Stonewall Gauntlet Balance, which probably is where you want to be with Dori. Our goal for this game is going to be to basically set up a double Ardor turn, ideally. So how long it takes to get to that turn is going to be kind of what decides the game. Here we have levels, which I want to probably try to use to draw a card this turn. So maybe the play here is to do... there's not really a great play here. I want to pitch the bonds for later. I know that for sure. And then maybe we just want to arsenal levels at the end. So maybe we're pitching 100 wins and then just putting a Chase the Tail in the bin. All right, they're running that all you got. So this is probably like a fatigue Dori list. We just want our arsenal levels to just get our first Transcend online. And then our whole goal of this game is basically just going to be able to try to find our double Ardor. I think if we could do that, we could probably win. That's kind of my general strategy into these kind of like just blocky fatigue style decks, like Dori. You basically just want to kind of set up for the Omega turn as opposed to just like a 30 damage turn. All right, here we find 1 Ardor, which is good for sure with this hand. Because now we can do levels, pass over, set up our Transcend, keep Ardor and Arsenal until we find the necessary steps. We're going to hold on and Chase the Tail just in case they try to like disrupt us. They give it go again, which maybe means they have like an Axe follow-up and an Arsenal. Or it could also mean like CNC, potentially. Looks like it's just going to be an Axe follow-up. Again, with vanilla damage, we don't really care. And then we can also use this pass over to tutor for Chase Aspect, which you've used 2 of already, but again, it's fine. Again, this can be definitely a hard matchup if they hit Disruption at the right time, and also you don't find your Ardors for a while, but we fortunately found one already. We're going to start with levels, pitching levels, doing Passover, targeting E-Strike, resolve the Passover, and then pitch to gain a resource, pitch to Zen, finding our, where is it? Our Aspect. Then we let levels resolve. So we don't actually need the extra card here, so I'm maybe inclined to just do buff go, just because we know we want to arsenal the Ardor, so drawing an extra card doesn't really matter all that much here, unless it's like Tiger Swipe, but I think this is fine. It also helps us maximize our value out of levels instead of like just trying to draw into another card. We're getting 5 damage out of this one card, which is pretty good if they're trying to fatigue us. Again, I don't think fatiguing Zen is necessarily a viable strategy, but hopefully this game will illustrate that and I don't just punt really bad. So we'll do our Kakara. Okay, they have another that all you got, which is fine. All right, so we're going to be very patient with this Ardor, ideally. We need it to basically get... We need 2 of them, basically. If we can get 1 and an Ancestral early, I think it might be comfortable if we get the right hand for it. But we just need to find the perfect hand, basically. All right, and already they're starting to kind of dwindle on life total. So we're gonna do 3, then another 4, presenting another 7. Stonewall Gauntlet, definitely very good nowadays, or it's still all right. Definitely requires knowing the right time to use it. But here we're going to clear most of their cards, and then they're going to draw a random card at the end of the turn. So they could draw into like not a blue or something, and they're giving us a little bit of armor, which is fine. So it's a really good setup turn for us. This, unfortunately, I don't think is the go-off turn. I think most likely the play here is going to be like block with Fluster just to set it up in the graveyard, soak 2 damage. They're probably, I mean, they could theoretically like CNC us, but we have the blocks for it, so I think we're fine just doing Kakara into E-Strike for 7, and then we'll lose a little bit of value blocking with this Fluster Fist, but we can't really use it on this hand anyways. Although we could have done like 2 into 5 into 4. Is that better? We do 2 extra damage to take 2 extra damage? I don't know. Okay, they're just going to double access. It's fine. Sure. I don't think we care about this, right? Like, I'd rather just have these both threats in the deck in case we shuffle again. So I think we're just double pitching this turn. Again, the axe is not incredibly threatening here. This is why I think, like, I boarded in the sinks here, which again could make us whiff really hard on the auto return, but like, I think you can just beat this version of Dori with like, but just by kind of breathing on her almost. Like, I don't think that this particular version of Dori is like more threatening to Zen than Dawnblade is. So yeah, we'll go ahead and buff power. Again, they could block this out and send Decimator again, but if they're only decimating us every turn, like, they're not really doing very much. Okay, and they pretty much block it all out. They take 1 extra damage and keep a card in hand. Alright, still not the hand. Again, we gotta be a little bit patient here, but we can do 5 into 7. Again, pretty solid. Which I think is probably what we're gonna do just to keep up the pressure. Sure. 5, or sorry, whoops. We'll do 5 goes into 7. Just trying to filter for the second Art of War. Sure. Oasis. This card is like terrible in this matchup. I see people run Oasis in Zen, and I'm like, ooh, that's fantastic every single time. You'll also notice that I'm at a lower life total, so like, if you just be patient with armor in this matchup, like, it's very hard to lose this matchup. This is also not really the pop-off turn. Again, we're just trying to find another, like, good Art of War with, like, bonds in hand, ideally. I don't want to risk it on this hand. Like, if we just play patient, there's not really a way we can lose with this. For next turn, what I'm thinking is we could do another Chase Aspect line, but the problem with that is that it eats the last Chase Aspects out of our deck, which is not ideal. But Chase isn't very good on the go-off turn anyways, so maybe that's fine. We can also just do it without using the Aspect and like pitch the Aspect or something. It's pretty reasonable. Yeah, we're just going to take the axe though. Opponent's also running this rounds on me, which is really interesting. Alright, we're going to pitch, do Harmony Hunt, hold priorities for our drop. for damage to apply. Drop. And then what are we tutoring off Zen here? I'm not sure. We could just do another Chase Aspect. It's not like the problem is our graveyard would just be kind of ass after that. But it's still good damage. I mean, I don't know. I think it's still fine. Yeah, fuck it. Like, we already have the... There's not really a good way to get rid of the Aspect unless I, like, pitch differently there. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and do it. We will be wasting a Tiger, which is fine. Nasty Surprise, interesting. Oh, I forgot we did attack with a 1 cost too, so... I wonder if there's maybe a better way to split up this damage. Sure, this is fine. This is, okay, this... Alright, let me point this out. This is not when you use Stonewall Gauntlet, like, at all. So now, remember, this is not Banish for Bonds or anything. We close chain, we play another Tiger, right? They've gotten... What? 0? They've gotten 1 value off of their Stonewall or... What did the last Tiger come in for? I think it might have been 2, so they got 2 value out of the Stonewall. Again, not where you want to be. If Stonewall can get like 6 value, I think that's where you want it to be. Like Descent, if you do Descendant Bonds, and then you force your opponent to like close the chain or something weird when they don't want to, that's like the ceiling of this card. Again, this is a very skill testing card in Zen, and you have to keep track of like what all the Zen has at any given point. Hold on, I'm gonna send them a message. Ripple Away also doesn't work on tokens like that. Oh, it does it? No, I think tigers aren't tokens. I'm like, okay, I asked to judge this, I think, at one time, but I think Ripple Away does not work on tokens. Or on Crouching Tigers, because they're not tokens. If you look at the card, it does not say token. So I'm just going to be nice to them and, like, let them know that, but, like, it does not work on tokens. Or it does not work on tigers, which are not tokens, rather. Yeah, so they would probably want to block with it. Or they probably did want to pitch it to deny the tiger because it's basically the same amount of value, right? But blocking with it is ultimately the same. Okay, they have no cards in hand, which is great board state to be on. We're hoping to draw into, ideally not an Art War next turn because we want them to attack into us the turn that we go off. So here's a good opportunity to develop out our bonds. I think we're fine wasting Ancestral Harmony as long as it doesn't hit Art War off the top. But, you know, we got 42 cards in deck. What is the likelihood of that happening? Am I right? Oh, sweet. We had a Descending Gustway. Sweet. So now we don't have to play out this one. Now we can pitch this one and Kakara as well. So we'll do that. We'll get our first bonds in graveyard, which is fine. You don't need a triple bonds a Dori. You can double bonds a Dori and they'll die. We'll do it now. I almost always try to do this in the link step just because, I don't know, it builds good kind of like habits. We don't have very much good in our graveyard. The best thing we have is a Flusterfist because everything else is, you know, there. So I guess we're just... Oh, actually, we probably should have, like, 100 wins first. This is probably ultimately fine. Like, Flusterfist is also not incredibly necessary to kill them. So we'll go ahead and get our Fluster. Probably a slight misplay to not do 100 wins before doing all this Descendant Bond stuff. But again, small like misplays like this can add up, but this is such a terrible matchup for them that, like, I don't think it matters very much. So we'll do our 100 wins. And even at this rate, we're just killing them without Art of War. Like, fatiguing Zen is like a completely lost cause. Even if you like don't attack into them, like it's very easy for Zen to play around it. Like they don't have really a win con almost. Sure. Okay, they have Oasis, which is fine. Now they get the 5 value out of the way, the Oasis. So, sure. And they have 1 card in hand. Sure. They're opting to pass, which again is fine. So now we have Preserve Tradition, which is another pretty important card in the matchup. So it lets us maybe put one of these chase aspects back in so we can get at a later point. So here we're going to start with levels. Let's put an aspect, but I think aspect is better to put in the deck as opposed to chase. Just because it's good fodder on the Art of War turn, or like good bonds target on the Art of War turn. There's also like maybe some argument to putting bonds back in, but nah, put an aspect back in. I like having a bonds for a target. Although actually, we are tutoring presumably for a bonds this turn. So maybe it actually was right to put. And we'll live with our decisions. It's probably not going to matter very much. But we'll go ahead and get our second. We actually don't even need to get a bonds here necessarily. We could just get something else. We could just get like a tire swipe to set up even more. We don't have to like necessarily commit to the double bonds. I kind of almost like that better. Again, I think I maybe made a slight misplay here, but maybe this is what we're going to do anyways. I like leaving 2 bonds in the deck if we're trying to go for like the Omega pop-off turn. We'll do... We don't need to draw a card here, so we'll again do Buff Go. Because we can do Kakara into Crouching Tiger into Tiger Swipe to Descending Gust Wave. We can do all of that with just the resources we have. And I almost don't want to send too much damage at them because I almost want them to attack me after a certain point, right? Yep, they're just blocking with balance. So sending like a weak turn, like if we send bonds, they might be more inclined to like just block out because they know we have used up our threat. But now because we're sending like a weaker turn, they're more inclined to maybe want to try to attack with Axe, is my logic at least. We've gotten all their equipment out of them except balance, so they still have the balanced activation, which is fine. Again, I think when did we arsenal this Art of War? I think it was like turn 3 or turn 4, right? So it's been 4 turns, we haven't seen another Art of War, which is again fine. We're just holding out, and again, their hold line's getting no value, or like it's getting 2 value, right? Like terrible. And then we'll still send another 3 at them, putting them down to 11. And again, we're not really wasting all of our like super important resources for the pop-off turn, which again are bonds, descendants, swams in my version of the list. And then just like random combo cards. This is the pop-off hand, potentially. Well, let's see if they attack us. If they don't attack us, this isn't the pop-off hand. Well, it still could be. No, I don't think it is. I think what we're doing with this hand is we're just transcending Sacred Art and pitching away the Descending Gustwave bonds. they're going to have to attack us this game if they ever want to win, right? So that's what we're gonna do. We're going to pitch, and then we can transcend this. Make some. We'll make a tiger off of the Zen Banish, and we're just gonna set up our graveyard. Again, if they're not gonna want to do anything, like we don't have to do anything back into them, right? And again, Dori's not necessarily like Max or someone who can set up for like a 40 damage combo turn if they just like keep blocking. So we're just gonna get our chip value in. We have Tiger Swipe, 100 wins left in the deck. Getting, I think our second 100 wins is probably, or our second Tiger Swipe is probably fine. So we'll do just Tiger Swipe. Again, if they want to do nothing into us the entire game, that's totally fine with us. Given how they're playing, the next opportunity they attack into a good hand of ours, we might just take it. Sure, shunting again, it's fine. Again, we're playing the patient game here. Alright, they've opted to attack. I think this is a hand that can get there. I don't really want to play it any more patient than this, because we do have like a small risk of running into fatigue, and we haven't seen our second Art of War, which is a little rough. I think this is just good. Gonna have to be good enough. Yeah, we're gonna go for it here. We could get punished based on some of our draws, but I think it's very likely we can just kill through this. Hopefully we can even draw into like a second Art of War potentially, because we haven't seen it. Like we still have 2 in the deck and we haven't seen it for a while. Alright, let's start by pitching 100 wins. Or actually, do we pitch Chi because we have Grain? Probably. Let's do that. Because we should be able to transcend this pretty easily because we have the blue 100 wins. Alright, we get Descendant, double Descendant. Okay, this is definitely going to kill. So the line here is blue 100 wins, Grain that tips the scale, make a resource, Descendant, bonds from our deck, getting another bonds, and then getting something else at the end. Alright, so we need to lead off on this because we have not transcended this turn. So we're going to do that. Okay, they're going to pop Balance, which is fine. So they now have potentially 6 cards that they can block with, and Tunic. Alright, Bastion is fine here. So we're now going to soak, or we're going to use Screen that tips the scale for the extra damage. We'll gain a resource, and then this will nullify that 1 damage prevention, so it's basically a 3 block, right? They no longer have Stonewall Gauntlet. I'm inclined to almost close the chain right now just so we have that 100 wins in bin, but I guess we already have one in bin, so it doesn't really matter. So we can now do another 100 wins potentially, or we can save this 100 wins for the end. I think it doesn't really matter, but we should probably just do this now. Yeah, let's do this now. Just so we can get the full value out of it. Again, this is why we were kind of patient with our bonds resources just for the pop-off turn. Here they're using Oasis, which is basically like block 5 on using 2 cards, which is terrible unless they have another one, right? So this is fine for us. We'll then might as well go ahead and use this now. I don't see a reason not to. So again, just being very careful here, just to make sure that we can convert all of our resources. They have another Shunt, which they were able to use that 1 resource. So again, that's probably about even in terms of like card block value. But then they have double bonds coming. So let's go ahead and get one of our bonds. We'll then play Descending Gust Wave. And I don't think there's a way out for them at this point. Even through one Art of War. Just because we were patient. Another shot is fine. So we're going to get our other bonds. And again, I think this is a really good game to showcase why fatigue doesn't necessarily work, because eventually you're going to have to take a game action against Zen. I'm actually looking forward to the new wizards in Rosetta for that reason, because maybe they can take game actions that Zen can't respond to with Traverse and Strides, which will be cool. We're gonna finish up on another bonds. Probably getting the last Tiger Swipe seems reasonable, because they're not gonna be able to block all of it unless they have a 4-block in hand. Yep, so because we were very patient here, we're getting rewarded. Zen's burst damage is insane. So as long as you are patient with your threats and keeping your double bonds in deck, it's pretty easy to get around, just a player who wants to try to block you every turn and do nothing. Yep, so you get it there. They had Sync Blow in hand, so they would have been able to block the Tiger Swipe, but not the Tigers. So overall showcases, this is a good game to showcase why Fatiguing Zen does not work. There have been smarter people than I who have tried it. It does not work. If you're playing against a good Zen who knows how to distribute their threats and not just like attack mindlessly every single turn, it's very hard to fatigue a Zen. The only way to fatigue a Zen, I think, really, is to disrupt a Zen while you're trying to fatigue them. So like Victor, for instance, like you send a Spinal every turn, right? Or send like a Spinal or Crush the Weak or whatever. They are able to kind of fatigue by disrupting every turn. So maybe eventually, like once you kind of get to low enough resources after being disrupted so many times, then that's when fatigue can become an issue. But like against like Dori, it's very, very easy for Zen to win. So I hope you all enjoyed this game. And again, like and subscribe, or don't. And I'll see you all next time.